What's the name of the
Gentleman's Agreement.
Gentleman's Agreement, where a Gentile reporter pretends to be a Jew and runs into anti-Semitism. And then he goes about looking for his own Jewish identity. He starts at 770 in Crown Heights, where despite all of his trepidations and this is Orthodox cab driver tells him that they won't let him in, and well, they walk in, they're very nice to him, and they
Orthodox
make him.
cab driver in New York.
Yeah.
Was he
And- Yeah, I think he had a yarmulke. Yeah.
Oh,
And they make him put on.
He didn't have a yarmulke. They
No?
gave him a yarmulke. The Lubavitcher took his hat off. And
No,
took his-
the cab driver.
Oh, the cab driver?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see a yarmulke.
Yeah, I thought that he said even the cab driver wears a yarmulke.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So, they. Let me just turn this off. They made him put on tefillin, and they told him that this was his bar mitzvah, and that part went without any controversy. I think everybody said Mazel Tov. Next, he went to Washington, to a suburb of Washington, D.C., to meet with Pat Buchanan. And he was challenging Buchanan on his most recent book, I guess, at that time, where he lumped up the neoconservatives as being all, or for the majority, for mostly Jews. And he said that even though, and that's the paragraph that he challenged him on. He said, even though many Jews on the left and many Jews in general do not support the neoconservative line, all the Jews in America are still united on the issue of Israel, and they all have a.
Buchanan said that, or
Buchanan did. So he asked him how he could, there was the paragraph was had really serious internal logical conflicts, and as he challenged Buchanan on it, Buchanan kicked him out of his house. Basically, he said, "Let's finish this and go away." Next, they went to London, where he met first with a woman, an American who's lived in London for 20 years, and says that she's leaving because things have become so anti-Semitic and so stressful, and she just cannot. She says the British are completely illogical about Israel, and they're intolerable. And then he met with a
So where is she
columnist. I'm sorry?
Where is she going?
She's going back to the States. And then he met with a British columnist who said very outright that if he sees a letter that supports the Israeli government, he looks to the bottom to see if it's a Jewish name, and if it is, he chucks it. He doesn't read it. He said, "But do you read the letters from anti-Israeli Jewish writers?" He says, "Absolutely." He says, "Doesn't that make you biased?" He says, "Well, I'm biased against bias." And then he says, "But it sounds like you're anti-Semitic." He says, "Well, but at least there's." He said, "There's many more like me. I'm not the only one. There's safety in
There's a
numbers."
pattern. So.
Yeah, there's a pattern. They go to Paris, where they are led by a very obviously religious Jewish man to look at a Parisian synagogue that was burnt down, and the guy's kind of very paranoid about how everybody passes by.
There was a fire. There wasn't.
There was a fire. It wasn't burnt down. There was a fire. It was set Friday night, and it was just coincidental. There was a fire on Shabbos in the synagogue. Then they go to he's told about a suburb of Paris that is where supposedly Jews and Arabs and Turks live in harmony. And before you know it, he just by posing the question about
Right, I
Jews,
didn't caught that talent.
he starts a race riot. So that's, and the rest is.
Thank you.
Is this Canadian or American?
He's Canadian.